Today I will talk about Agatha Christie. Agatha Christie is the world's best-known mystery writer. She was born Agatha Mary Clarice Miller in Torquay, England, on September 15, 1890, and died on January 12, 1976. She was born into a wealthy upper-middle-class family. Agatha was the youngest of the family. She had one sister named Margaret Ferry and a brother named Louis Montant. Her parents were Frederick Alva Miller and Clarissa Margaret Boymer. Because her siblings were so much older and there were few children in the neighborhood, Agatha spent much of her time playing alone with her pets. Margaret was sent to a boarding school, while Agatha was homeschooled. Her mother believed that she should not learn how to read until she was 8 years old, but she was already reading at the age of 4. As a result, her parents and sister supervised her studies in reading, writing, and basic arithmetic. They also taught her music and she learned to play the piano and the mandolin. She enjoyed reading books at a young age. As an adolescent, her favorite writers were Charles Dickens, Alexandre Dumas, and even Walter Scott. In 1901, she wrote her first poem entitled The Cowslip at the age of 10. In November 1901, her father died from pneumonia. Agatha said that her father's death marked her childhood. In 1905, she was sent by her mother to Paris. She was educated in different boarding schools. At the same time, she was focused on voice training and piano playing, but she decided to give up her aim of becoming an opera singer. When she finished her education, Agatha returned to England to stay with her mother. They decided to spend time in Cairo, Egypt. At the age of 18, Agatha wrote her first short story entitled The House of Beauty. Then she started to work on her first novel entitled Snow Upon the Desert. In 1912, she met Archibald Christie. They fell in love, and a few months later, he asked her to marry him. They got married on Christmas Eve 1914. When World War I started, Agatha Christie worked as a nurse in the Town Hall Red Cross Hospital. In 1916, she wrote her first detective novel entitled The Mysterious Affair at Styles. In this novel, she will introduce the fictional Belgian police officer Hercule Poirot. For this character, Agatha was inspired by the Belgian soldiers she helped during World War I. In 1919, Agatha Christie gave birth to her first and only child, Rosalind Margaret Clarisse. In 1922, her second novel entitled The Secret Adversary was published in 1923. In 1926, Agatha Christie's mother died. It was a very traumatizing event. She even fell into a depression. 4 months later, her husband asked her for a divorce because he fell in love with another woman. On December 3, 1926, Agatha Christie disappeared. She cannot be found until 11 days later at a hotel. Her disappearance was all over the news. In 1928, Agatha took the Orient Express train and left England. She went to Turkey and Iraq. There she met Max Mallowan, an archaeologist. They married in September 1930 in Edinburgh, Scotland. In 1934, Agatha and her husband moved to the Winterbrook House, where they lived from 1934 to 1976, her death. During World War II, she moved to London and worked in the pharmacy at University College Hospital. Thanks to the pharmacy, she wrote a novel entitled The Payhouse, with all the things she has learned from Howard Davis, the chief pharmacist. In 1950, she was elected as a member of the Royal Society of Literature, and in 1958, until her death, she was co-president of the Detection Club. In 1973, she wrote her last novel entitled Postern of Fate. Between 1971 and 1974, her health began to fail. She was diagnosed with the Alzheimer's disease. She sadly died in 1976. With more than 2 million books sold, Agatha Christie remains one of the most read authors in the world. She is best known for detective novels, featuring two famous detectives, Hercule Poirot and Miss Marple. Among her most famous works, we found The Murder of Robert Ackroyd, written in 1926, Death on the Nile, written in 1937, and Murder on the Orient Express, written in 1934.